The nice
I'm
one.
the nice
You're
one.
The nice one.
I'm the nice one.
Her on the other
She
hand, she's the crazy cool.
Right. Hey, I'll be that.
Well, because losing out money, you got to take going through so much to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far, you know? Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, you know? But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Now I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. Here. My wife looked at this, the feminine side, because that's all I had really gotten to at that point. And she was like, this is what you'll be remembered for. And your acting will be just a footnote. And, you know, she nursed me back to life because I was angry. I was really angry. And I was going to use all of the knowledge that I had that was going to destroy mankind.
Hollywood has been acting real nervous lately. For years, the dark secrets of the music industry's most elite circles were kept behind heavily guarded doors, protected by non-disclosure agreements, power, and absolute fear. But the landscape completely shifted when Sean Diddy Combs was handed a 4-year prison sentence by Judge Arun Subramanian on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. While the industry elite hoped that this prison sentence would finally close the book on the scandal, it did the exact opposite. It cracked the door wide open. And right now, Cat Williams is holding the crowbar. The comedian has officially turned the heat all the way up, allegedly leaking a series of explosive surveillance videos directly from Diddy's private freak-off parties. This isn't just typical celebrity gossip anymore. It has evolved into an unprecedented cultural reckoning. With cultural commentators like Joe Rogan and Hollywood veterans like Terrence Howard reacting live to the footage, the public is watching the systematic destruction of the entertainment industry's most protected facades. From hip-hop heavyweights looking entirely too comfortable in wild environments to tragic behind-the-scenes spirals, these tapes are exposing a reality darker than anyone ever anticipated. But in professional sports, and in the cutthroat arena of the music industry, the initial action only writes the first sentence of the story. It is the immediate fallout, the leaked receipts, and the subsequent public reactions that write the rest of the chapter. As the reality of Diddy's legal downfall began to sink in, the carefully curated facades of Hollywood's elite started to crumble. The first massive wave of alleged surveillance footage to hit the internet sent immediate shockwaves through the hip-hop community, specifically spotlighting veteran rapper Busta Rhymes and D.A. Baby. The clip caught Busta Rhymes interacting with Diddy from behind in a manner that immediately had the streets talking, while D.A. Baby stood right beside them, looking completely at ease in an environment that insiders claim got incredibly reckless the moment the official cameras stopped rolling. This wasn't just a random, isolated incident caught on a security tape. It connected directly back to long-standing industry rumors regarding exactly how young talent secures their spot at the top of the Billboard charts. To understand how deep this connection went, you have to rewind to early 2020, when D.A. Baby publicly bragged about an exclusive gathering at Diddy's mansion. According to D.A. Baby's own unfiltered words, Diddy had systematically cleared the house, putting almost everyone else out of the crib because of the massive influx of people. However, Diddy took a very specific liking to D.A. Baby around that time, literally putting his arm around him and allowing him to stay behind closed doors with an ultra-exclusive group of just 15 people. A room that included none other than Jay-Z and Beyoncé. At the time, D.A. Baby proudly shared this story as the ultimate validation of his burgeoning stardom, viewing it as a sign that he was officially rubbing shoulders with the undisputed gods of the music industry. But today, the streets are looking at that exclusive invite through a much more sinister lens. Not long after entering that inner circle, the public watched DaBaby undergo a massive, volatile behavioral spiral that seemed to completely derail his momentum. The most infamous manifestation of this internal pressure occurred during a Tampa Bay concert, where DaBaby violently struck a female fan as he was making his way toward the stage, claiming he was completely blindsided by her phone's bright flashlight. The crowd inside the venue immediately turned on him, ruthlessly booing him until he walked right off the stage without performing a single track. Though he later released a public apology on social media, he heavily diluted the message by adding a defensive comment stating he would have reacted the exact same way if the fan had been a man. Instead of calming the waters, this response only made the public question what was really happening behind the scenes. This toxic pattern of sudden public outbursts, combined with resurfaced footage of his security teams violently knocking another female fan to the ground for getting too close, left the public completely unconvinced by his team's damage control. And the optics only worsened when older video clips resurfaced showing a New Year's Day interaction outside a club, where Diddy affectionately referred to DaBaby as a chocolate brother, while the rapper casually called him Baby Back. For the online community, the dots were connecting rapidly. Transgender advocate Tony Newman had already warned the public in past interviews that figures like Diddy and Busta Rhymes operated entirely different lives behind closed doors than the hypermasculine, aggressive images they projected to the world. Cat Williams' alleged leaks didn't invent the rumors, they simply provided the visual receipts, forcing a stunned audience to watch the hip-hop elite celebrate in environments they could no longer explain away. As the leaks intensified, the narrative expanded to include the most powerful man in hip-hop, Jay-Z. Alleged surveillance footage captured Jay-Z and Diddy operating together in highly restrictive private environments where industry lines were heavily crossed. According to commentaries by Joe Rogan and Terrence Howard, these elite gatherings relied on a strict protocol of control, including a viral clip where Diddy is seen aggressively demanding and confiscating guests' phones before the wild activities began. Reacting to these exact dynamics, Terrence Howard delivered a chilling, philosophical breakdown of what actually happens to artists who enter these rooms. Howard explained that the psychological trauma of these environments leaves young talent permanently broken, forcing them to turn to extreme substance abuse just to escape the memories in their heads. You come into this world as a man one time, Howard warned. But when you lose your man card, you give up your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. And when you give up that man card, you don't ever get that back. Nowhere was this loss of foundation more visible than in the alleged footage involving Meek Mill. In one of the most bizarre clips leaked, Diddy is heard calling Meek Mill daddy on camera, praising him for putting in that work. This psychological entanglement reportedly culminated during a notorious Las Vegas birthday bash Diddy threw for Meek inside a $25,000 a night Parisian-style mansion. Insiders revealed that the event dissolved into complete late-night chaos, leaving the property manager to discover a horrific scene of broken bottles, ruined bedding, and unexplained blood stains. Reports surfaced that Meek left the property physically and emotionally shaken. When audio from these environments initially leaked, Meek Mill went on frantic social media rants, claiming the tapes were completely fake, generated by AI, and weaponized by internet bots designed to silence a voice from the trenches. But as more footage emerged, his narrative completely fractured. He finally admitted on a live stream that he was indeed present at those wild gatherings, though he claimed he kept his distance from the worst of the madness. The emotional toll finally broke through when Meek appeared on live television, visibly crying and wiping away tears, as he tried to reframe his relationship with the bad boy mogul by reflecting on a childhood memory of losing a rap battle at 12 years old. Watching the breakdown, Joe Rogan and the public concluded that the tears weren't about childhood battles. They were the raw, unfiltered emotional wreckage of a man realizing his past had finally caught up with him. The psychological unraveling of these hip-hop icons was only the tip of the iceberg, serving as a prelude to a much wider structural collapse. As the industry scrambled to contain the fallout from the leaks involving DaBaby and Meek Mill, the next phase of Cat Williams' alleged archive struck a devastating, direct blow to the carefully protected core of Hollywood's elite power structure. The narrative shifted from tragic individual spirals to a calculated, systemic exposure of the highly transactional relationships that dictate who stays at the top of the entertainment industry and what they must sacrifice to remain there. The final and most legally damaging blow to the industry's wall of silence arrived via the resurfacing of explicit testimonies and leaked footage involving adult film star Sly Diggler. On the captured tape, Diggler explicitly breaks down the physical mechanics and social protocols of Diddy's private gatherings, detailing exactly how powerful figures would cross lines, swap partners, and operate within shared spaces behind closed doors. Diggler explained that these interactions were entirely institutionalized, functioning as unwritten entry requirements for maintaining favor with the culture's biggest gatekeepers. But it wasn't just the graphic descriptions of the events that sent panic through corporate boardrooms. It was the names Diggler casually listed that permanently shattered the industry's protective shield. He explicitly named top-tier female celebrities and global icons, including Young Miami, Daphne Joy, and most notably, Beyoncé, as familiar faces who allegedly crossed paths within those highly restrictive, private environments. When those names were dropped, the public immediately connected the timeline back to DaBaby's own unfiltered admissions from early 2020. The rapper had previously bragged about how Diddy had cleared out an entire mansion filled with people, specifically choosing to keep DaBaby behind closed doors with a tiny, handpicked group of 15 elites, a room anchored by Jay-Z and Beyoncé. What DaBaby originally presented to the world as a badge of honor and ultimate industry validation was now being decoded by the public as something far more calculating. A glimpse into the actual room, where the industry's absolute elite gathered away from public scrutiny, operating under rules that standard society would never accept. With Sly Diggler's testimony adding explicit context to the nature of those private sessions, the romanticized myth of independent Hollywood stardom completely evaporated. The reaction from the online community was immediate, massive, and entirely unforgiving. Across every social media platform, the comment sections transformed into a ruthless arena of public judgment. For decades, the mainstream media had controlled the narrative surrounding celebrity downfalls, chalking up sudden career cancellations, erratic behavior, and sudden creative hiatuses to standard industry burnout or creative differences. But the internet wasn't buying the corporate explanations anymore. Users began retroactively analyzing the careers of dozens of prominent artists, connecting their sudden drops from major corporate projects, the sudden cancelling of their stadium tours, and the mysterious dimming of their commercial star power directly to these rooms. The consensus among fans was uniform and uncompromising. These artists didn't suddenly lose their talent, their marketability, or their drive, they lost their human foundation. They had entered a system where maintaining their status required giving up their autonomy, and once that line was crossed, the psychological weight became too heavy to carry under the bright lights of global fame. This public reckoning brought the conversation right back to the chilling, prophetic warnings delivered by Terrence Howard and Joe Rogan. Howard's philosophical breakdown of the man card, the total surrender of one's identity and foundational values for the sake of an unholy degree of fame and material wealth, became the ultimate lens through which the public viewed the entire scandal. The commentary emphasized that the entertainment industry operates as a predatory machine that explicitly targets young, ambitious, and often vulnerable talent. The machine offers them unimaginable wealth, global platforms, and elite protection, but the hidden cost is the systematic stripping away of their personal boundaries, their dignity, and their psychological foundations. Once an artist compromises their core self to appease a powerful gatekeeper like Diddy, they enter a state of permanent psychological fluidity. They lose the ground beneath their feet, leaving them entirely dependent on the very machine that exploited them, unable to ever fully pull themselves back to reality. Cat Williams has made it undeniably clear to the world that this rollout is not a random burst of chaotic gossip, but a systematic, one-by-one execution of Hollywood's biggest, most heavily guarded secrets. The carefully timed leaks are forcing a culture that has long worshipped celebrity status to look at the horrifying human cost that powers the global entertainment industry. The surveillance tapes are continuing to leak, the legal floodgates are completely open, and the heavily guarded, multi-million-dollar protective walls of the Hollywood elite are actively turning to dust. As the global public watches the industry machine crack and fragment in real time, the initial celebrity drama has officially ended, replaced by an unprecedented cultural shift. A single, terrifying question now echoes through the entire entertainment landscape, keeping every executive, mogul, and superstar awake at night. When Cat Williams drops the next surveillance tape, which iconic Hollywood empire is going to completely crumble next? Ultimately, this unfolding cultural catastrophe is exposing the deep, systemic rot at the very core of the entertainment industry. The illusion of clean, independent stardom has been permanently shattered, replaced by a dark, transactional reality that the public can no longer ignore. For decades, the mainstream media managed to mask these structural horrors under the guise of standard celebrity eccentricities, wild lifestyles, and industry burnout. But today, with the combination of official federal court sentences, high-profile media dissections, and damning eyewitness testimonies from people who lived inside those walls, the protective barriers have turned to dust. What Cat Williams has done is much bigger than exposing a few industry figures. He has completely weaponized information against a predatory machine. He has forced a culture that has long worshipped wealth and celebrity status to look directly at the devastating human cost that powers the global entertainment landscape. The romanticized image of the music mogul and the untouchable Hollywood A-lister has been replaced by the chilling reality of a system that actively targets young talent, strips away their personal autonomy, and leaves them psychologically broken. The online community's ruthless refusal to look away proves that the public has reached its ultimate breaking point with Hollywood's manufactured hypocrisy. The days of hiding behind corporate damage control, media blackouts, and aggressive non-disclosure agreements are officially over. The digital age has democratized accountability, giving fans the collective power to dissect the receipts, cross-reference the timelines, and permanently reject the figures who chose material gain over basic human decency. As the surveillance tapes continue to circulate and more insiders find the courage to speak out, the entertainment landscape is standing at a point of no return. The old gatekeepers are losing their grip on power, and the structures they used to control the narrative are fracturing in real time. The era of silent complicity has been forcefully brought to an end, leaving an entire industry scrambling to survive under the unyielding glare of absolute transparency. The legal floodgates are open, the public judgment is absolute, and the heavily guarded, multi-million-dollar empires of the Hollywood elite are actively crumbling down. The old world of unchecked industry power is dead, and the only question left for the stars hiding in the shadows is who will be left standing when the absolute truth finally finishes clearing the room. What do you think? Are these leaked surveillance videos and insider testimonies finally going to bring down Hollywood's most untouchable elites? Or is the industry machine going to find a way to cover it all up once again? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below, let's talk about it. If you want to stay updated as this massive cultural reckoning unfolds, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next, because this story is far from over.